Imagine this universal, paralyzing scene that determines the trajectory of your life. You stand at a crossroads. It's not just a choice of what to have for dinner. It's a crucial, fundamental decision concerning your relationships, your career, or the very foundation of your life, requiring immediate, decisive action. You already instinctively know what to do. An inner voice, a blend of your experience, intuition, and values, has already given you the answer. It's quiet, it doesn't shout, but it's precise and confident. But instead of trusting this quiet but powerful inner voice and accepting absolute responsibility, you do what most people do: you panic and start seeking external validation. You go to consult. You ask a friend who hasn't achieved anything, a mom who hasn't lived your life, or a random internet expert whose frame of reference is completely different from yours. You begin to gather votes, as if voting for your own destiny. On a conscious level, you convince yourself that you're seeking wisdom, objectivity, or confirmation that you're on the right path. You think you're searching for an answer to life's riddle. The truth is, you're seeking psychological permission to fail and a way to shift absolute responsibility for your life and its consequences onto someone else's opinion. This is self-sabotage disguised as prudence. Your brain uses advice as insurance against the pain and shame of making independent decisions. If something goes wrong, there's always someone to blame but you. Your confidence and mental strength erode with every piece of advice you seek because you're voluntarily handing over power over your life to others. The myth we're debunking: we believe that collective thinking, democracy of opinion, and the constant search for external knowledge always lead to optimal solutions and personal empowerment. Truth: seeking advice is often a subtle, cutting form of self-sabotage and a fundamental renunciation of one's own framework of confidence and autonomy. It's a childish habit to seek a parental figure who will grant permission and relieve the burden of adult decisions. We will uncover the dark psychology of advice and show how your thinking must separate information from authority and reclaim the sovereign power of autonomy. Insight number 1: Delegating responsibility, psychological insurance. Psychology: the greatest fear in the process of transformation and growth is the fear of complete, public failure, for which you alone will be held accountable, with no opportunity to justify it. Your brain, which is lazy and conservative by nature, hates uncertainty and absolute responsibility for an unknown outcome. Communication: when you accept advice and fail, you gain a mental shield. You can say, "I followed the instructions," or, "It was the expert who was wrong." The blame and, more importantly, the consequences, are transferred to the advisor or the process. Psychological benefit: this way, you protect your self-esteem from being knocked out, but you pay with power and confidence. Mini story: you bought an expensive course or hired a guru not for unique knowledge, but for the moral right to say, "If things don't work out, I did everything the expert said, but it didn't work, the problem isn't me." Dark secret: the logic of seeking advice isn't about success, but about protection from self-blame. You choose the safety of average results over the risk of greatness. You seek the most popular or most approved path, even if it contradicts your intuition. This is the instinct of the crowd. Insight number 2: the alien value frame trap. Remember, advice is not an objective fact. It is always filtered through someone else's life, someone else's experience, someone else's limitations and, most importantly, someone else's fears. Mindset: an advisor, be it a friend or an expert, gives you a solution that would work for them or be safe for them in their particular world. They project their frame onto your life. Your goals, your confidence, your unique set of circumstances, and your philosophy often clash with the frame of those you ask, but you don't see it. Example: asking a relationship loser about the dynamics of attraction or a poor person about the wealth mentality. You're getting a recipe for failure because their frame is already broken or limited. You're not just receiving information, you're absorbing their fears, their negative beliefs, and their limited experience. Truth: advice is a psychological projection. You accept someone else's limitations and beliefs as your own laws and possibilities. Your mindset must recognize, advice not only dilutes your unique strength but also narrows your vision to someone else's horizon. Autonomy: a strong person creates their own rules. The weak seek out other people's instructions. Insight number 3: the confirmation addiction, approval addiction. Psychology: the constant, obsessive search for advice is an addiction to external approval and validation. It's a search for a parental figure. Emotions: you're afraid of looking stupid, overconfident, or wrong in the eyes of the crowd. Your confidence isn't autonomous, it's tied to external opinion. Mindset shift: advice is an attempt to gain permission for your own life from someone else's authority. You voluntarily become dependent on public opinion. Your strength lies not in the unanimity of your advisors, but in your singular decision and the courage to make an unpopular choice. Secret of communication: a person who doesn't ask for advice but acts confidently instantly evokes attraction and respect. Someone who asks for advice evokes pity and condescension. Practice: reclaiming autonomy. Your brain needs to realize that advice is information, experience, or warning, not an obligation or a law. Confidence requires filtration. Take a fact or data, but cast aside the advisor's fear and their personal limitations. Your primary question should be, what do I want and how will I get it, not, what should I do? Your responsibility for failure is the price of your absolute freedom. Philosophy: the solitude of the powerful decision. Remember, great decisions that transform your life and relationships are always made in the silence and solitude of your mind. Secret: you must first decide and establish your framework, and then ask an expert if you need technical details, not moral approval. Your framework should be, I accept the risk of error for the full power of the decision that is right for me. Emotions crave group protection. The mind of a strong person demands individual responsibility and autonomy. Your strength lies in creating your own knowledge through action, not in consuming the experience of others. Your relationship with confidence begins with a single decision, made unilaterally, without advice or approval. Self-affirmation: your life is your unique exploration, not a repetition of someone else's path or following someone else's instructions. Breaking your addiction to advice is the only path to true, unshakable strength and confidence. Your mind is freed when you realize that true confidence doesn't need external validation. It is autonomous. You are worthy of trusting your intuition and your unique thinking. Psychology: your brain will always look for the easiest way to reduce stress. The easiest way is the path of someone else's responsibility. You may make mistakes, but it will be your mistake that makes you stronger, not someone else's that makes you weaker. The secret of strength: your advice is already within you. All it takes is the courage to hear it and accept absolute responsibility.